Coach Dresser, and welcome to our November newsletter. Let me tell you what you're going to see this month. Besides me, in a minute I'm going to talk about what the first 2 weeks have been like, what we expect going into Columbus this weekend, what we expect going into UVA, and then of course what we expect going into Penn State. That'll get us into kind of our December and a little bit of a break before we get to the second part of our season. However, you are going to get a chance to see some of our guys, which probably is a lot more exciting than me. We're going to have some clips of some of the guys on our roster. Hopefully you'll enjoy that, a chance to see something different. We'll talk about some upcoming stuff. We'll talk about our drive for 5,000. But before we do that, I want to give everybody an idea of what we're looking at right now at the 10 weight classes. Mention some guys, talk about some results, talk about what we expect out of some weight classes. So I'm just going to start with 125 right now. 125, really we got two guys kind of slugging it out. Ty Mitch and Eric Spute. I think right now Ty Mitch probably has a slight edge just because he won the Hokie Open and beat a guy that beat Eric. Eric ended up getting third, so we had great representation there. We also have two other guys at that weight, and right now it looks like Gerard Garnett is probably going to get a red shirt for us this year. Gerard will compete this weekend at the Ashland Open, and then will compete at the Penn State Open. And that'll get us through December, and that's kind of what I want to do in this newsletter. We also have a young guy named Matt Peters who's going to get some mat time. Has competed both the last 2 weekends, hasn't fared so well, but will compete at the Ashland Open this weekend as well. At 133, obviously Devin Carter's our man. We feel really good about, he obviously dominated both tournaments. He dominated the Hokie Open, he dominated the North Carolina State Open, and in a minute here I'll talk about the next 2 weeks and how he's got a great challenge ahead of him. At 141, we have had no action this year. It's the only weight class on the roster that we do not have any depth. We bumped up Jordan O'Donnell, who did a good job for us in a dual meet. However, Jordan's a 133 pounder, and we have had zero representation. Zach Nybert is our guy. He's a guy that's ranked in the top 20 in the nation without even starting yet. That shows the kind of respect Zach Nybert has in the nation. However, Zach's got a knee injury. We expect him to go this weekend, and again, I'll talk about that in a minute. At 149, it's been an interesting start. We've got quite a few competent, capable wrestlers there. First off, Brian Stevens, who's held the weight the last couple of years, is redshirting. He's coming off a knee injury. We expect him to compete here in a week or two. He's just about ready to go. So that's kind of the report on Brian Stevens. Other guys at that weight, Nick Murray, our fifth-year senior, has been kind of typical of Nick's career, off to a little bit of a rocky start at times. He's looked great, at times he hasn't looked great. And I'm not going to sugarcoat this newsletter, as you're going to see here. He needs to get some consistency, and that's been Nick's chink. I can't say that he's the #1 guy right now. The other guy that's doing a really good job for us right there is Lex Ozias, a freshman from Maryland, that's came in and been right there. He's placed this past weekend at the NC State Open. The weekend before at the Hokie Open, Lex was 1 round from place, and I think he went 5-2. Done a really good job for us. The other guy that's doing a good job for us is a freshman from Dallas, Texas, Chris Mears. Chris has won some matches. He had to pull out this past weekend with a slight concussion. However, he should be good to go this weekend at Ashland as well. But the guy really to talk about right now here that's kind of separated himself from the pack is Nick Bruschetta. Again, a true freshman from Ohio. Same high school as the Stevens brothers. Obviously, we're excited about what Nick Bruschetta did this weekend. Nick Bruschetta in the finals beat Valenti from University of Virginia, who took 6th in the nation last year. I think Nick's stock has went way up. I'm sure Nick Bruschetta will be ranked in the top 20 as a true freshman here real soon, if he already isn't, with getting a win like that. I think Nick's record right now is 14-1. He lost in the Hokie Open, I think, second round, but came all the way back. Had to win 6 matches to get 3rd place, which shows us a lot as a coaching staff. So Nick Bruschetta was kind of in the works to be a redshirt. He's not in the works to be a redshirt anymore. The redshirt's off, and he's our guy at 149. And this weekend's going to be another thing to talk about that's exciting for him. At 157, Jesse Dong's our guy. He dominated the Hokie Open. Pretty decent weight class too. There were some nationally ranked guys there, and Jesse just blew through the field. Jesse didn't compete at the NC State this weekend, just in an effort to get ready for this week. Cameron Hurd's also done a really good job for us at 157. He's a guy that backed up and would be a very confident backup. He placed second this past weekend at the NC State Open. Matt Stevens is going to be a redshirt. It's Brian Stevens' younger brother. He's a true freshman. Did a good job, placed at both events. I think he got 4th the past 2 weekends, which is a good job for a true freshman. And then we've got another guy that's a walk-on, Chad Struby, I think, that went 3-2 at the Hokie Open. Didn't fare so well this past weekend at the NC State Open. At 165, Pete Yates handled and dominated the Hokie Open. Again, like Jesse, we held him out this past weekend for our own reasons, no health reasons. Both those guys are ready to go. Pete's going to have a big weekend and big 2 weekends for us coming up here. And again, we'll talk about that. Isaiah Mead's been competing as a backup. I think Isaiah is 3-2 both weekends. So he's doing an okay, good job for us as a backup and a true freshman from Delaware, Isaiah Mead. At 174 pounds, Chris Moon and Austin Gable have been the 2 guys we've been going with. Right now we're redshirting Austin Gable. We're going with Chris Moon. Both guys had pretty good weekends this past weekend at NC State. The first weekend at the Hokie Open, Chris Moon wrestled in the dual meet, got caught in a headlock, kind of tweaked his neck. Consequently, we held him out on Sunday at the Hokie Open. Both guys came back this past weekend. Austin Gable was real close to winning the tournament, probably should have won the tournament, didn't realize he was tied in the end of regulation and kind of went for it and gave up a takedown at the buzzer, otherwise would have went into overtime. We feel like he would have won that match in overtime. Chris Moon finished 4th, so they're real close right now. Gable's a true freshman. Chris Moon's a sophomore. Chris Moon's a little undersized for 174, but he's doing a good job. Both these guys can wrestle. We think both these guys have a great future with us. Obviously, they're both really young, so we're going to take some bumps along the way, but both these guys can help us and compete. We've got a redshirt, or a true freshman that's going to redshirt this year, Bubba Sheffield. Bub is a very accomplished wrestler, same high school as Lex Ozias in Maryland. Bubba's banged up, coming off of a knee surgery. He's just getting back in the groove. He might wrestle this weekend upcoming in the Ashland Open. If not, he'll wrestle in December. At 184, we got 2 guys. We got John Dixon, who's done a great job. He's got 2nd at the Hokie Open. He got 2nd this past weekend. John Dixon continues to be an overachiever. Doing great things. I think a lot of you know John's story. He's a guy that walked on for us a couple years ago, wrestled for us last year at 184 at the ACC tournament due to Tommy Spellman's injury, and John just keeps getting better for us. The other guy that's kind of been struggling a little bit because of an injury is Angelo Malvestuto. Was really looking good early this fall. Got a high ankle sprain that really held him back. He's just kind of getting in shape again. We expect big things out of Angelo as the season goes on. Had kind of a rough opening weekend this past weekend at NC State, but again, we get him in shape. We feel real good about 184. At 197, Nick Vetterlein has proved to be the man. You know, he got 2nd in the Hokie Open. Probably should have won it. He won it this weekend. He beat a guy in the finals, a real tough Division II guy who beat the UVA guy in the semis. So Nick's definitely proven that he's a top 20 guy right now and probably higher. He's got 2 great tests coming up this next 2 weekends at Ohio State and Virginia. A couple young guys, Darren Hankins from the Chesapeake area is a true freshman at 197, as well as Jake Simonis. Both these guys are real hard workers, just do not have the national level competition to get it done right now at this level. We'll see as time goes on. Again, they got great work ethic, so we'll see. And at heavyweight, of course, David Maroney's our guy, had a great Hokie Open, looked super, dominated everybody, beat a good Ohio University guy in the finals. We held him out this weekend for various reasons, none of them injury related. But David, I can promise you'll be ready to go 100% when we get ready to go to Columbus on Sunday. A couple young guys there that we've got that are backing up. Bobby Lavelle from Pennsylvania, I think he went 3-2 both weekends. Did a good job. We've got a freshman also named Dan Garwood. Dan's kind of like Simonis and Hankins at 197. Hard-working kid. Just not much national level competition under his belt. Consequently, he's struggling a little bit right now, but again, it's real early in his career. We'll see. Good, hard-working kid in the room. We like him. And then the guy that got it done for us this weekend, heavyweight, redshirt, sophomore, he's going to redshirt this year, is Chris Penny, moved up to heavyweight and won his first college tournament. So we're excited about that for Chris. So that's kind of a take on where the Hokies have been the last couple weeks, and we'll talk about as we go forward the remaining 3 weekends as we get ready for our Christmas break. If we look and break down the Ohio State Virginia Tech match this Sunday, it's definitely going to have an Ohio flavor. If I go from 125 all the way up, at 125 we've got Ty Mitch, who's from Aurora, Ohio. Ty's a redshirt freshman for us. He's going to take on a guy named Johnny DeJulius, who's also an Ohio kid, a freshman. These guys have a history. They know each other, so it's going to be a battle. At 133, of course, we've got Devin Carter from Christiansburg, Virginia. Devin's going to take on probably the most decorated Ohio prep high school wrestler who redshirted last year, who's a redshirt freshman now, Logan Stieber. Logan has got a little bit of a history. Devin Carter's only loss his senior year was against this guy. This guy's already ranked second or third in the nation, and he's just wrestled 2 weekends of college. So that shows you what kind of a guy Devin's got. Devin doesn't get a chance to step out there and be the underdog much, but that's going to be the case this Sunday. At 141, we got another Ohio matchup. We've got Logan Stieber's younger brother, Hunter, who's a true freshman. He's going to take on redshirt sophomore Zach Nybert, who's also from Ohio. You got a St. Paris Graham kid, another one of our St. Paris Graham connection guys. We feel good about this match. You know, on paper we're probably a slight favorite, but again, Zach's been out of the lineup a couple weeks because of a knee, so we'll see how he fares with this kind of being his opening weekend of the season. At 149, here we go again. We got two great freshmen superstars from Ohio. You got Cam Tassari and Nick Bruschetta. Nick Bruschetta from Virginia Tech, true freshman. Cam Tassari from Ohio State, true freshman. Two of the best kids in the nation, both from Ohio, squaring off this weekend. Obviously, Nick Bruschetta just won a big tournament for us last weekend. We're excited about Nick. And I know Tassari right now is just about like Nick. Both these guys starting out their freshman years are like 12-1. So it should be a heck of a match. At 157, Ohio versus Ohio again. You know, we've got Jesse Dong, fourth-year senior. We all know how tough Jesse is, but Jesse is going to take on not only an Ohio native, but Josh Demas, who also went to the same high school. Both these guys went to the same high school, Westerville North. Josh Demas is a redshirt freshman, so Jesse's got a couple years on him. Obviously, we feel good about that match. At 165, they've got a freshman named Garcia. We've got Yates. Pete's in his redshirt junior year at Virginia Tech. Garcia's a freshman. Again, we feel good about that match. We feel like we've got the nod there. At 174, things start to toughen up for us a little bit. They've got Nick Heflin, who's ranked top 3 or 4 in the nation right now. At his weight, he actually has to leave immediately after the dual meet, fly to California. He's representing the East Coast in the East-West All-Star meet. He's going to take on Chris Moon. So obviously on paper, they're favored there. However, you know, we're going to give it all we can give it at that weight class. I feel good about Chris Moon off the scale. We will start at 174 pounds to allow this guy to catch an airplane afterwards. At 184 pounds, our John Dixon will take on Cody Mangrum. Cody's an Ohio native, a fifth-year senior. He's probably one of their only older guys. You know, on paper they might be a little bit of a favorite, but I like John Dixon. That guy continues to overachieve. We'll see how it goes, but again, we like our guy at 184 pounds. At 197, you're going to have two New Jersey guys scrapping in Ohio. They've got the first or one of the only 4-time state champions in true freshman Andrew Camplatano. We've got Nick Vetterline. Nick's been on a roll the last couple of weeks. Totally two different careers. You got a 4-time state champ versus a guy in Nick Vetterline who placed 4th his senior year. However, again, we like our guy. Nick's a redshirt sophomore. I can tell you this: it'll be a physical match. There'll be a lot of getting after it at 197 pounds. And then heavyweight, we got 5th-year senior David Maroney. I don't know much about their guy. I think we're favored, maybe strongly favored at heavyweight. We'll see. All in all, it's going to be a great dual meet. You can tune in. You're going to get a link. I think it's 4 Eastern time on Sunday afternoon. It's going to be on a. You can purchase it live stream live on the Ohio State Buckeye website. So stick with us. That's the Ohio State preview. Well, the next 3 weeks are really big for us. Obviously, we have 2 key duels. We go to Columbus this Sunday at 4 o'clock. We wrestle the Buckeyes of Ohio State, ranked 10th in the nation right now. They've really been dominating early, looking good. Really young team with a lot of talent. They've had some great recruiting classes the last 2 years. They're wrestling some of those guys right out of the chute. It's unusual for us to wrestle a team younger than us. We've never done that, but we're actually growing up in some places. And so we're actually a little older and more experienced in some weight classes than they are. I think that'll tend to benefit us. But they're a good, tough team. The following weekend we wrestle UVA. UVA's a top 20 team as well right now at the John Paul Jones Arena, which is a great arena, which we wrestled the ACC at last year. Obviously, they're expecting a big crowd. It's the day after the Virginia Tech football game. So if you're in the area, plan on coming to the John Paul Jones on the following Sunday, which is a Sunday after Thanksgiving. And then we finish up kind of our November, December schedule at the Penn State Open, which, needless to say, if Penn State's there, it's a tough event. Going to be a lot of national caliber guys there. Definitely, top 5, top 10 nationally ranked guys at every weight class. So it's a great test for us to kind of end. We'll go into exams after the Penn State Open, give our guys a little bit of time off to go home for a couple days over Christmas, and then we're going to do something different this year. We're going to come to the Midlands, or go to the Midlands event in Chicago. We'll talk more about that in our December newsletter. So for the remaining, as we go forward, we're real excited about the next 3 weeks. Great test for us. Should put some guys on the map nationally. I really feel like we got some guys that, 3 weeks from now you're going to hear a lot about.